Good Monday morning, everyone. Wow, we're really starting July off with a lot of fun, okay? And we will dive into it. But before we dive into weekends or anything like that, you guys listening to Author Talk with me, Amy, Russell, Valor, and our lovely author guest today is Kevin Hall. So you guys, you might be wondering why my video looks different, okay? Or if you're listening to it, why I probably sound a little bit different than I usually do. So my husband decided to unplug my computer because he needed to do something and didn't plug it back in. So this whole time I felt like my computer was charged. I was ready to go. I'm not. So I'm coming to you, my cell phone today until my computer gets back up. My husband will be getting a phone call later. But to sum up everything else, Meadow does go back to school tomorrow, which I'm a little bit sad about. Russell, I know you're going to make fun of me. I feel like I'm losing my buddy. I like when she's at home. So I'm a little bit sad about that. But Christmas was great. My daughter, Sky, is really big into rocks, you guys. And so my sister got her a rock tumbler for Christmas because she loves collecting rocks, all these things to make them shiny. I did not understand or know what I was getting into when I made that recommendation because that thing has to spin nonstop for like 3 weeks to a month. Okay. And so I've done everything I can to hide the noise, but at this point I've given up. So it's been
Why
going.
don't you hide the tumbler?
Well, I thought about
that's
putting
the
it.
solution.
I know, but I thought about putting it in the garage, but I go in the garage, so I decided against that. And so it's upstairs in their bathroom with the door shut, but then the girls think it's funny that it really irks me, so then they leave the door open. And you know, at like 9 o'clock at night, I'm too tired to take my ass upstairs, so it just plays all night, and I'm the one closest to the door. So it's just eventful and really fun up in here, over here. It's a lot of fun. We're having just a great time over here with a dead computer and everything else. But how was everybody else's weekend? Valerie, I'm glad to hear you have made it through the crazy tornadoes and the weather of Houston. So I'm going to go to you first as to how your weekend was and everything like that. You've survived. We're glad to see you.
Well, I mean, the worst part was that we were out without power, so we were kind of glamping at the beach house because nobody was really prepared, and everything is electric down there, so there's no gas or anything. So thank God we were like this close to coming that way into Crystal Beach. And we're like, no, let's take the ferry today. It'll be great because it's winter and we might not have to wait in a line for who knows how long. And so if we would have went the other way and through High Island and Winnie, we would have probably been right in the middle of that tornado. I can't even. I was like, God was looking over us for sure. And I mean, when we got on the ferry, it's like, power's out of your house. We're like, well, dang it. Now the power's out. And then you hear the backstory that the tornado came through the area. We're like, holy cow. We were just so lucky that, okay, we're just sitting here glamping. So we made do. We went to the dollar store and got some stuff. And then we got ice and just, it was fine.
What is a dollar store like? What is a dollar store?
You've never been to the dollar store?
No,
everything.
I've been on a case where someone got murdered at a dollar store.
Okay, well,
I haven't actually been as a customer to a dollar store.
You know, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise
me.
There's
everything in there. It's like a little Pandora's box, and especially the one down at Crystal Beach because it really has.
I never wanted to go to a Pandora's box. I still don't know what's in them. I mean,
that is where stories are made, Russell.
Stories are made after midnight.
Yeah, that too. But anyway, but I spent the rest of the weekend after we came home. I was cleaning my closet, and it's something I wanted to do for like the last 6 months, and thank God it's like very catharsis to do that. A typical
clean your closet.
Yeah, my wife thinks that's true too. I don't understand that either. Valerie's talking Mandarin today. I don't know what she's saying.
Russell, the dollar store is heaven on earth, okay? Because it's not like it's like $1.25 now. It used to be $1, but they have like everything. I mean, when I do the homeroom stuff, like all the decorations for the girls and stuff, those are all there. But they have like well, they have name brand food, like name brand canned foods there, and like frozen food name brands are there. but they also have a $5 spot. Okay, they're moving up in the world. They have a $5 spot, but I'm just
what else
saying,
I
their
love,
candy.
Aimee, is they have all those containers. You can buy containers there. You can buy,
Yes.
cleaning supplies. You can buy art supplies. You can buy all that stuff for mailing. If you have like
cards,
just random
holiday cards. I mean, Russell, I feel like now you have
But
to
I
go
don't
in.
understand the catharsis effect of cleaning a closet either.
Oh, I don't either.
Oh.
I don't either. I can't get
because
behind
the
that.
clutter
Kevin, you need to get in
was
this.
coming down through all these different sections of my closet. I was like, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. It's just and it was stuff that was meant to go a long time ago, and I just was so great to do that. It was great.
No.
I'll weigh in just a little bit.
Russell, you better.
Russell, I have not been to a dollar store either. There's a lot of them around. I just go to other stores. And second, as far as cleaning the closet, my wife has her own closet in our master bedroom. I have my own closet. That's it. You got your territory. I got mine. And that's
it. It's territory.
Yes. And if she wants to keep hers with all of her stuff in it, however she wants.
I hate it when my wife invades my territory, though, and puts shoes where my shoes were supposed to be. So there is not a delineated good enough defense on territory, in my opinion, in our family.
Well, I will tell you, her closet is twice the size of my closet. And guess where all the Christmas gifts were put this year? They were put in my closet. So, I'm reaching in and reaching around the gifts, being careful not to trip over them so I could get a shirt out in the morning or a pair of pants, but that's just the way it is. And I really don't mind.
Aimee, what is this new device?
What device?
What is that light thing that looks like something for some kind of sensor device from Star Trek that she's turning on? She's frozen.
I don't know.
So.
I don't know. She's on Amy's on another planet. But yeah,
Russell, I was trying to get on my computer. My computer turns on briefly, and then I get in the room, and then it's just like, oh, psych, not. So Josh is really going to get an earful afterwards, you guys. I mean, just pray for Josh. Pray for Josh. That's what's going to happen.
I'm going to pray to get to listen. That's all I want.
I'll record it for you.
Okay.
So you can get a good chuckle during the day.
We can play it on the show next week.
I should. It would be hilarious. He doesn't watch it anyway, so it makes it even more better. More better.
Okay, let me talk about my weekend then, Valerie.
That was my exciting weekend, guys.
Actually, it was kind of exciting. We got to choose our Irish cream retriever puppy this weekend. Aimee did have a picture of it, but that was before Josh unplugged everything, and now she does it. So I'll show you in the future. I would actually have the puppy on the show with me today, except she's at boarding school learning how, not to destroy the house because we expect her to turn into a raptor in about 3 weeks. And so she'll be a feature of the show once she gets here. And I'm very excited about it. My wife's very excited about it. We have lots of guilt feelings because we picked her out, loved on her for an hour, and then gave her to the trainer and said goodbye.
Had to say goodbye. That's the hardest part.
Yes. Being a dog lover myself, that is difficult. And we have a dog. Believe it or not, it's the first dog my wife and I have had in 40 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And we decided, we've had cats, we've had fish, we've had birds, but I'm not getting any younger, and I've always wanted this dog. It is a blue-eyed husky. It is also part
So it's
Malamute.
a talker.
Oh, she's a big one, and we take her to the vet this week, and it's probably going to be around 70 pounds, and she's 16 months old.
And is she a talker?
Oh, she is a talker, big time.
That's the greatest thing about huskies.
I love it.
I need to thank the people that are listening to us. I got a little piece of news this week. that I've been blowing up with Amy and Valerie, and that is we're in the top 1% in pod play.
Yay.
And we're very excited about it. We've been on air this year 9 years. So we've been on a
Excellent.
long time.
Yes.
The average podcast lasts 6 weeks. We've been on 9 years.
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of trivia. I listened to some more of your podcasts this past weekend, and one of them was from January 6th, 2020. And the guest you had on that day was also named Kevin.
Oh, wow. That's a coincidence, and I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amy, where can people find us?
Oh, you guys, you can find us anywhere that you can search for a podcast. Amazon Music, Spotify, Good Pods, iTunes, Android, Google Play. Those are my go-tos that you can go. You just type in Author Talk, look for the crimson, red, and gold, because your girl was selfish and picked some awesome colors for the show. Okay.
You keep saying that. You were not selfish. You just
I didn't
had
talk
good
to anybody
taste,
about it,
building
Kevin.
branding.
Your program.
Yeah, I didn't talk to anybody. I just straight up said, this is what we're doing.
Okay,
They
well,
were
you
my
do that about
favorite.
a lot of things, but since you and I always think the same way, at least you and I rarely have disagreements, and when we do, that's fun too, right?
That is, yes. Russell is fun to have a disagreement with because, if you just really, I can't even say it. I leave conversations with Russell feeling good, but also confused as, did I just win that or did he win that? That's generally how I leave our disagreements, which is fun for me. But yes, you can go and do that. We are the top 1% on Podplay, which was really interesting. Russell was very excited when he called and told me, and I had no idea. So it's been a fun ride. 9 years this month, you guys. Oh my gosh. And it was all Russell's idea. So this all started with Russell. So if you want to see how we started, where we are today and how we do things today, our YouTube channel is over there. You can go and do that. Russell loves to share old episodes from years ago in our Author Talk group on Facebook. You guys can go and like that and join it and engage with us. We love it when you do that and we have fun conversations with you. But yeah, this all started with Russell when we used to go to his place and sit by the pool, and I would only turn the camera to make rare appearances, and now you guys see me all the time.
I gotta tell you,
It's been
it's
fun.
shocking how much our show has changed. When I watch those early shows, and if you're watching, you should watch some of those real early shows because it's shocking. We
They're
sucked.
great.
We
They were
sucked.
great. They were so great. It's a lot of fun to see how things have evolved and turned. And then we went to Zoom, and now we're, here on StreamYard. And so it's just been a lot of fun. So with all that doing, you guys, my computer is on. I'm going to hold off joining to see if it stays on. Okay. And if it does, you'll see me pop up. Don't judge my room. Christmas hit my room really hard and I haven't recovered from the wrapping paper. Okay. So I've decided to sit. So if you get to see my room, don't judge it too hard. Okay.
But we didn't get to hear about Kevin's weekend. We need to hear about Kevin's weekend.
Well, I had a nice, relaxing weekend after Christmas and New Year's, and we have the whole gang over to the house at that time. Mm-hmm. And with 12 to 14 people in the house, it can get quite noisy. So I like to, just chill a little bit. So did that this weekend, got into some of the books I got for Christmas and started reading them. Started working a little bit on some other things, but that was it. That was kind of the weekend. We did have our oldest grandson. He's 17. We had him stay overnight on Saturday and, had the movie night, that kind of thing. And the next day took him back to church. And so that was a lot of fun. We usually try to have the grandkids over every once in a while. And with 6 of them, it can get a little busy. They range in age from 17 down to 6.
Okay, Kevin, I got to ask you, what are you reading? That's an important telltale on our authors.
Right now, I've got it right here in my office. You all know Peggy Rowe. Mike Rose. Well, it's Mike Rowe's mom. She wrote the book, Oh No, Not the Home. And let me tell you, it is a lot of fun, but there's a lot of interesting characters that she writes about. And Peggy Rowe she's been writing all her life. She's in her, I'd say, late 80s. I think she's 87. Her book started taking off, obviously, when her son, Mike, started to announce them on his podcasts. And they just took off. And after selling over 10,000 of them, Simon & Schuster came to Mike Rowe and said, "You didn't tell us your mom could write." So now she has her books published. And it is really a good book. Her and her husband moved into a Erickson home facility down in the Maryland area. And so she writes in this book about all the characters that she meets during the day. And there's some pretty interesting characters. So that's the one I'm reading right now. Plus, I'm also reading Thomas Sowell. That one I can only take in small doses. I mean, this guy he's just brilliant in my mind. Started out as a, full-blown liberal. And now he looks back on all those years and just says, wait a minute, there's a lot that we were told that just isn't true. Here's what really things are like. And I love his commentary on all of that. So that book, though, I have to take it in small doses because he writes in small print and really packs the pages. So a lot to digest when you read it. So that was my weekend.
Nice and calm, relaxed. My mom can relate with you, the grandkids. She has 9. They're aging from 2 to 17. Yeah. And I bombarded her house around the Christmas time too. So she can relate. She can relate 100%. So
we live halfway in between our daughter and son-in-law and our son and daughter-in-law and their families. So ours is the gathering point for all this. And it's only a half an hour in either direction. But instead of making one person drive an hour, they all come here and we have a lot of fun.
Oh, I love it. That's always fun, the good time. My mom's kind of like that in a sense. They all live by my mom. I live away. So I just go to my mom's. But I love it.
Yeah, we're the gathering space too.
Yeah, let's get Kevin talking about all of his books and his journey into being an author.
Yeah. Well, so Kevin, I was just going through all your stuff, and it's a journey of your life, and I love how you threw in there as like a little bit of like the wonder years and just reminiscent of just like, I guess, small town life. Why did you feel like it was important to, I guess, chronicle your experience living at, at different phases in your life, and then just your journey into 3, these different books?
Well, it's kind of an easy question to answer. As I mentioned, I've got 6 grandkids, 17 to 6. But when they were younger, we'd have them all over the house. And sometimes we'd have stayovers with, one family or the other all staying in the house overnight. And they would begin to ask questions. Grandpa, what was it like when you were a kid? What did you do while you were growing up? And of course, to them, I'm some ancient old guy. But, I would tell them these stories and they'd get a kick out of some of them. And, we tell them, oh, we can remember when we first got the microwave and how neat that was. And both my wife and I can go back and remember, oh, this is when we first got color television, and that kind of thing. And so not knowing if they would remember these stories, I started to write them down. Next thing you know, I had a short story book, and it was just titled My Christmas in Rosemont. And I handed that out to them at Christmas one year, and it was all wrapped up when we made a big to-do out of it. When I saw the look on the kids' faces and the sons and daughter-in-law and son-in-law's face, I just said, okay, I'm going to start writing more and put this down. Because, it also got me to thinking a little bit more introspectively to say, what's my legacy? What do I leave behind? And I can go back to my hometown, and you see me with this mug for water, Ilion, New York. That's my hometown. If you've ever been around a Remington rifle, that's the birthplace of it. The factory is in town until this past year with all the political turmoil in New York State. They decided to move out and move south. So they're still being manufactured, just no longer manufactured in New York State. So I can go back to my hometown and visit my mom and dad's grave and my brother's grave site and, kind of reminisce and think about things. But where do the people today go? Most people will be getting cremated. They won't be having grave sites. Where do they go? So that's where I thought writing these books, they could always get together as a family, pull out the book, read a couple of chapters, and just reminisce about the time they had with Grandpa. So that's kind of my legacy, and that's the reason I started writing the books.
And I really do like how you divided it up into your different sections, like your junior high and everything. And then also you said it was very traumatic when your parents decided to uproot you and go from there, which if you think back in those years, that everybody can relate to that. And that's probably why your books have been so easily to connect with, is that it's a, people can relate to these experiences because either they've known somebody or it's happened to themselves. And then just bridging on that gap of generations, that's so insightful. And how about what I saw where it said, like in the library there, it was very popular as well?
Yeah, in my hometown library, I actually got an email probably the 4th or 5th of January in 23, and it said my book was the #1 checked out book out of the Ilion Library for all of 22, which is interesting that the book didn't debut until mid-April of that year. And the library didn't receive its first copy, until May of that year. So in very short order, it became the #1 checked out book. And Valerie, I think for the reason you cite, a lot of people could, understand the book, have meaning for them in their own history, their own upbringing. And I've heard this from folks all around the country that have bought the book and said, I wasn't born in New York or anything, but this is so reminiscent of my childhood growing up in small town America. And so that really, really makes me pleased. You can get the royalties from the book, but having it checked out and become the #1 checked out book, that means more to me than anything else.
And also, just the concept of small town America, I feel like that's just disappears so quickly. Even like the community of Crystal Beach where we go, it's evolved since when we first went there in 2008, and just things change so fast. And when you grab hold of that and chronicle it, it really shares a view, until the perspective of a lot of Americans, like what was life back then. And if you
Yes.
don't have it chronicled and in memoir style, then you're not going to get that firsthand experience. How do you feel about that, Russell?
He's got to take off mute.
Yeah, I had to take that off. I was thinking about his hometown. My wife has a gun that her grandfather bought, a Remington 20 gauge shotgun that I had rebuilt for her, that was made in that town. I agree, Valerie. And this is one thing that quite a bit about, because in your writing career, of the articles you wrote, like the ones you wrote downtown that I'm familiar with, and other ones,
Yes.
that's one of the things that you've done in your career, is chronicle stories about towns. So, I mean, you're more connected to what Kevin's been writing. I mean, you write the same stuff, some in the past, right?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I do feel that even though I was writing for a major newspaper, I'm just, the stories behind the people that make the city, that make the town, are what, makes it unique. And then when you get on that vein of, like, sharing that, it builds camaraderie between the people. Like, everybody always says, like, Houston feels like a small town. It's because we all have so much to give and share. And I feel like, that probably is your case as well, Kevin, in New York and Minneapolis when you were there.
It is. And we had a couple of what we would call great unifiers. And it was a small town, 10,000 people at its max. but anytime you brought out food or music and, you know, just had a party, we didn't care who you were, where you were from. It made no never mind. It was just the camaraderie amongst one another. It was just phenomenal. And we had a great time. Ilion, to me, it's always going to be my hometown, but I can't go back there to live. Urban renewal came through in the late 60s, early 70s, and in my opinion, and I write about it in the book, destroyed the town. They raised over 113 buildings and put in this brick block building in the center of town, which wasn't like the original, what they called the master plan. And that became a small mall in the town. It just took all the charm out of the town. I mean, when I was a kid, I walked all over that town. Christmas time was phenomenal. And I specifically write about that in the book. And I have a ton of pictures in the book. So I kind of describe both that book and my Rosemont book as memoir history, because it's about 75% roughly write my stories, and the other 25 or so has all kinds of pictures and history of the town. Come to find out, when I was digging into it, the first woman to have an administrative office in DC came from Ilion, New York. And I'm thinking, whoa. And Ilion, New York, I live just south of Rochester, and the Susan B. Anthony home is here in Rochester, and they talk about her and women's suffrage. Ilion was huge in women's suffrage movement. And this was just one of the things we had during the 60s. John F. K. was, going across the country for his campaign. He made a stop in Ilion, small town Ilion. He made a stop there. All of the high school kids, now I was in grade school at the time, but all of the high school kids were told, look, class is canceled for today. You go downtown, you see this guy. This is the best thing you can do right now for your schooling. So
just to say, when you're, I guess, doing this, when you were your writing process, how did you start containing all these things, just chronologically, or just like journaling? What was your process?
Yeah, basically I was an outliner. You hear people talk about being a pantser or being a planner. I was kind of in between. And by the way, I heard a term for that called a quilter. And it's,
boy, I would never want to be called that.
Well, if you think about what it is, it's taking pieces here and pieces there and putting them together. Russell, what can I say?
That sounds awful.
But anyways, that's how I did it. And I also love the use of sticky notes and would write things down on sticky notes. But I was primarily doing chapter outline and then just kind of sticking to the chapters. But then when I was done, I would look at it and say, all right, I like this chapter, but I might want to switch it with this one. And I've done a few things like that too. So pretty much a bit of a planner, but also a bit of a pantser. As if you get into reading the books, you'll find out where I go in and say, side story, as it's the way you talk and communicate. Something comes up, and then you just, let me tell you about this for just a minute. And then you go back to the main story. So I call it out in the book and I call it a side story. And I go into that for a little bit, and then I come back to what I was writing. So that's kind of how my brain works. And I put that in the book, and a lot of good comments back that people like that style and have said, this is like sitting in the backyard, having a drink, watching a little fire in front of you, and just talking as friends. And that's the way I want to write the book.
I love that. Also, you have a third book. Tell me about Signs.
Signs is an interesting one. The first two, as I said, memoir history. This one is more spiritual. And felt I was dragged into writing this book. We've had a lot of interesting things happen. And when I say we, it's my wife and I. And one day we had some things happen in front of friends that witnessed it. And they can only be described as this is not natural. These things, something else is guiding or directing it. So I decided to do some research and some study on it. And I also did some interviews. I've interviewed a couple of the gentlemen who were in the Twin Towers on 9/11. One of them was the last person to make it out alive while the building's coming down around him. And he had started up in the 80-some floor, got down into the lower 70s, and then a thing happened and he couldn't breathe, wound up going back up to the 91st floor, feeling the air was better up there. Well, that's where a very interesting and almost, as I'll say, miraculous event happened, and it directed him down and out the building. And so his name is Ron DeFrancesco. And the other gentleman's that's there, he was with Ron at the time, and he was walking down with him. His name was Brian Clark. Brian wound up rescuing another guy behind one of the walls of the stairwell that they were in. And he heard the guy yelling, and they managed to break through and get in there. That's when Ron couldn't breathe. He went back into the stairwell, went upstairs. Brian said, I had a fresh air bubble around me the whole time. I was breathing fine, no issue. Where did that fresh air bubble? Why did one have it and the other didn't when they're standing next to each other? I mean, there are these kinds of things. And then I get into other aspects of the book. What are other ways we can receive communications from beyond the veil? If you're at all into physics or science, if you believe we are made of energy, you can't destroy energy. You can change the vial. You can change how it looks, but it's still energy. So where does that energy go? So I get into some of that into the book, as well as different ways people can receive communications through dreams. And this permeates not just today's culture, but I went back into the time of the Egyptians, the Romans, the American Indian. I went to cultures of China, Japan, India, again, the American Indian, as far as that goes. So much history out there that surrounds all of this. And when I got into reading and understanding a lot of this, it helped me to realize, our time is limited here on earth. And then there was a quote that came up. And the quote goes, we are not, let me just think for a second. We are not spiritual beings having a human experience. Or no, we are not human, that's it. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So when you think about that, that puts it so much broader. And as I've told people, and I've wrote about it in the book, I'm not an extremely religious person in that going to church, reading the Bible. I am definitely a believer in the Almighty. There's no two ways about it. And I am not afraid any longer of dying. I may be afraid of the way I die, or I don't want it to come anytime soon. But when it happens, I'll embrace it. And that's really the way that book, the Signs book, has been written. And it's called Signs. The veil is thinner than we imagine. And
why did you feel that was important to, I guess, put all that effort into the book? Because that sounds like it was quite a lot to dig into, just an experience that happened to you personally, enough to drive you to, do the research, reach out to other people. Why do you feel like that was important to, I guess, chronicle that?
The only thing I can say is that the book brought me into those different areas. And as I started telling the stories, I said, well, I wonder what it was like here. I wonder what this was like over there. Why do I keep seeing this or that? I'll give you one example. I see the number 123 or 1234 constantly. And by constantly, I could wake up in the middle of the night, look
Maybe
over
you're
the
having
clock.
a stroke.
Pardon?
I said, maybe you're having a stroke.
No, no. And let me tell you, the week before that book launched, I take my car in just for general service, oil change, that kind of thing. I get the bill back. I'm reading, looking down. There's the tax, $12.34.
I thought you were going to say that the total
4.
cost was $1,234.
No,
Have you
no,
read Marcus Aurelius, Kevin?
pardon?
Have you read Marcus Aurelius?
Oh, no, I have not. There are
You
a
should
lot of
read
books I need to
Meditations
read.
by Marcus Aurelius. He writes about 2,000 years ago the philosophy of death and memory and about all these things and about dreams. Have you read
Mhm.
Freud's
Pardon?
book Dreams?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I could
Yeah.
not finish that book because it made me have nightmares, and finally my wife hid it so I couldn't finish it because I
Uh,
would wake her up yelling at night.
No,
Oh,
I love those kinds of books, and I've got a bunch of them. There's another one by a doctor. I interviewed him. Death is But a Dream. Dr. Christopher Kerr, cardiologist in Buffalo, New York, and he's the CEO of Hospice and Palliative Care. And he's chronicled over 1,500 end-of-life experiences for his patients. Now, obviously, he's got all their permissions and that. But the things that they see, and you probably heard of people at end of life having visions, and they'll
Yes, but I'm
talk
one
to
of those terrible cynics that doesn't believe any of it. That's how I
over.
practiced law for 41 years.
Yeah,
You
yep.
know, Death is But a Dream is also a teenage goth saying, too.
No, I was not aware of that. But Russell, and I can understand from a legal perspective. By the way, I would have never been one of your clients. I've been married 48 years, and
I know. I've been married 41 years and I was a divorce lawyer. Is that crazy?
no, that's fabulous, is what that is.
But I still want to hear Aimee call Josh after the show.
I don't know. Maybe we should sidetrack now, a little side story, and have her
No.
call her.
there you
Oh,
go,
right
side
now.
story.
No, I can't because I'm on my phone, so I can't
Right.
call him. I can't call him, and he's just gonna be like, I don't know what you're. He's just gonna play the dumb card. Like I already know about all
That's
of
what
it,
I
so it's just
do.
the whole thing. Yeah,
I
I
do
already
this.
know.
I have this whole shtick now that I have all this white hair of being the old man. Sometimes you can get people to just do stuff for you because you're like, "What? How do I do that? I don't know what you're talking about." And then they'll just do it instead of trying to explain it to you.
Yeah.
It's great.
No, he'll just been like hello, like he'll talk quiet, like he's
I
really
gotta
working or
work,
something.
Aimee. Let's talk later. I gotta work.
Yeah, he'll be like that. He'll be like hello. He'll be like, oh yeah. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I
okay.
gotta go back
Oh,
to
look,
work.
someone's coming in. Someone's coming in, and then he's got to get off the phone. Like I know how it's gonna go. Like I already
That's
know
how
this
it's
whole
gonna go.
thing.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, it'll be interesting for sure. So, but I have people who have told me their stories, and when I hear these, I can't help but think again, these are ways that we get communicated with. There, you all know Dennis Quaid, the actor. Well, he was in a movie not long ago. It was made for Amazon Prime called On a Wing and a Prayer. And the gentleman, Doug White, was he was at his brother's funeral in Florida, chartered a plane, take his family back home. 10 minutes into the flight, the pilot dies. Massive heart attack, dies. So now Doug's got to take over and land this plane. Well, they made that into a movie, and Dennis Quaid played Doug White in the movie. So I tried in the worst way to get in touch with Dennis because Dennis has had his own things that have happened to him. And I truly wanted to talk to him about it. I was calling his alma mater, sending emails. I went to his fan club. I went to his agents. I could not get Dennis to return my phone call. So, hopefully one day I can get in touch with him and have a sit down.
He's probably busy dealing with his brother. He doesn't
Randy
have
Quaid.
time for anything else between his career and his brother.
Well,
I do need to ask you a final
Sure.
question, Kevin.
Sure.
My final question would be, would you tell people where they can find your books and
Oh,
how they can find out
absolutely.
more about you?
Absolutely. I have a website, kevin-hall.com. And you can find all of my books there. You can find a little bit more history there. You will also find, if you're a writer, a new writer, I put some writing tips out there for folks. All the podcasts that I've done would be out there. The radio show I've been on is out there. So all that information is there. Also, the books are available at Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I even found it at walmart.com. Do a search and you'll find a show up there.
Well, congratulations on that. How do you think you got on walmart.com?
Well, I think just by the sites that I'm on, they share them broad and wide. I'm on Ingram Sparks. I'm on Drafted Digital, as well as Amazon. And so they have wide distribution. And I believe that's how these other places pick it up. Even Target had the books on. But, you know, I think, Russell, you could probably find your books there in not too long from now. Thrift Books is another place where people who have read books, you know, can send their books to, and they can be resold. And my books are also on Thrift Books. So if you want to save a few dollars, you can go to Thrift Books and find them. I just am happy and honored that people read what I write. And I love hearing the comments back. So if anybody's got comments in my books, or my email account on the website's my email. So I usually answer all people who send me emails.
Yeah, so if you're on Drafted Digital and Ingram Sparks, that's why you are, and you're probably on Barnes and Nobles too.
Yes.
All of those places, they'll distribute there. The loophole that you found was Drafted Digital, because then you don't have to be on Ingram Sparks. Drafted Digital distributes through them, but they still put you everywhere. So
Yes.
I love to hear it. Drafted
We need
Digital
a
is
show on that.
awesome.
I don't know what you're talking about. We need a whole show on that.
I
Aimee.
know, but Russell, you know I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Well,
But
I'm
yeah.
also happy to say that the books not only sold in the US, they've sold in Canada, they've sold in England, and they've also sold in Australia. So very, very pleased by that. I mean, I can say I'm international.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm so happy for you that all your books are doing so well.
Oh, thank you very much, Valerie. And I've really enjoyed it today. I know, Aimee, when I sent you the email for an inquiry for the show, I mentioned too that I do a lot of this marketing on my books at little to no cost. I'm a big believer in social media. I have not to this date placed an ad on Amazon, any paid ads anywheres, yet I sell books every month since they've been debuted without question. And so that makes me happy that more and more people are reading them. I'm not going to get rich off them. I don't have any kind of desire on that, to be honest with you. I just want people to read it. I want to keep the conversations going.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love it. Russell, do you have any last minute comments, questions, statements for Kevin before we wrap up?
No, I already did that when you were off the air once.
Yeah, you can hear why I'm off the air. My child's having a huge
I totally
meltdown.
respect it. And it makes me
Yeah.
happy. It's one of the best parts of our show.
It's been a while. It has been a while, you guys. But Sky starts school this year too, so it'll be a fun time.
They're so excited.
Well, I have one final comment for Russell.
Yeah.
I'm also on the East Coast, and who knows, I might get down Georgia way. And I know you enjoy some whiskey from time to time.
I do, and I enjoy a good cigar, Kevin. So we'll go have a bourbon and a good cigar.
There you go. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
I love it. Well, Kevin, this has been a fun conversation. I'm sorry that it's not how it usually is and that my life is a hot mess today. I'm so sorry. I wish it was smoother, but we'll have to have you back on so you can have the full experience of it not being as chaotic as it has been on this Monday. But, hey, when you kick off January, you got to kick it off in multiple ways. So I thank you so much for understanding and coming and hanging out with us today. And I wish everyone has a better Monday than I'm going to have, obviously, and a great rest of your week. But until next time, bye for now, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Bye-bye.